What up, everyone? Peace and blessings. Happy Monday. Hope everybody's doing well. This is October 20th already. Man, the month's about over with. But, yeah, I just want to get on here right quick. Today was a little tiring. I just got back last night from Charleston. Went down. It's like a 2-hour drive, but my wife wanted to treat me to a birthday dinner. So it was a spot down there that she went to once, and so, her suggestion, which was great. It was lovely. So went down there, spent the night, came back. I got back last night around 9. The trip was a little longer than what it normally was getting back because it was raining hard. It was windy. So I got back at 9. Didn't go to bed until 11 o'clock, honestly. Then I finally got up, do my usual, take the kid to school, go to the gym. When I got to the gym, though, I was tired. So I sat in that car for a few minutes like anybody else does that's running off of 5 hours of sleep or less. So I sat there, kind of bowed my head, did my morning prayer and everything. And part of that was continue to give me the discipline to get through this workout, also giving my thanks and everything. So once that was done, finally got out of the car, headed to the gym. And I walked in, I saw this guy that I've known him for a while. He was on a treadmill, I was going to go over. I went over to say what's up, not to really interrupt the workout, but just mainly, acknowledgement like we normally do. But he started talking to me. He was asking me how I was feeling since my transplant. What am I doing as far as the maintenance, keeping myself healthy, and was going over everything. Let him know diet's important, exercise is important. The beginnings of a heart transplant when you're exercising is a little different than a person with their normal heart because you're no longer connected to the nervous system. So your heart is learning what your body is doing through blood flow, the exercise, adrenaline hormones. Your warm-ups and cool-downs are longer than the normal person. So your warm-ups might take 10 to 15 minutes. Your cool-downs might take 10 to 15 minutes from your heart rate to get back to its resting rate. We was going over that. And then we just started getting into the topic of just men's health, black men's health in general, and how stubborn we as black men and definitely as black community period can be when it comes to doctors. Just basically waiting too late, finding out you might have cancer and it's end stage and stuff. Just talking about how we should get checked out regularly. And I was telling them, I was like, a person should get checked out once a year. This should be semi-annually, in my opinion, quarterly, because you never know what you might stumble upon. People finding out they have cancer late and they can't do anything about it. I mean, for the black community, we just got the news of D'Angelo passing away from pancreatic cancer, and he was only 51, so the cat's still young. So, the colon cancers, all these gastro or intestinal cancers that you've been having anywhere between pancreatic, colon cancer, stomach cancer in general, just it's crazy. But we was getting into that. Basically, I was telling them how I want to continue speaking, that, I kind of got my feet wet with a couple of speaking engagements, and how I want to carry on and do more, kind of bring it out a little more to the black community for sure, and debunk these myths about transplant. Because, you hear the things of, they might prematurely cure us so they can take away our organs and give it to somebody else, or the rich can afford this and stuff like that. I've heard some things. I used to read about it, but I actually heard someone say it, and it blew my mind that there's actually people out there in the world who think of such things. And so I told him at some point I want to utilize him and his services, because what he does, his profession, at some point, because I plan on doing something great. You know, purpose is here, and I plan on doing a lot with it while I'm on this earth. So I talked to him, and plus a couple other people I'm going to start utilizing, try to get things going, get what I have, my ideas in my head, and put them out there, start to execute. You know, we're not telling them exactly what that is, and keep those close to the chest. And just start the journey. I mean, well, the journey's already started. I done been through surgeries for the congenital heart defect to this transplant. So the journey started at day one of breath. So now we're in the next phase, and now comes the big part. And so I'm about to definitely start making moves very soon. But with that said, with that conversation, by the time we finished, the energy that I did not have, I was motivated because I was ready to go afterwards, because we started talking about the health and wellness and far as our black men and our black women having these issues and not going to get themselves checked out and so forth and so on. By the time we did it, it was like, that's what I needed to carry on with the rest of my workout. And so once that conversation was done, and I looked up, I was on the treadmill because he was talking, we got 10 minutes in, and I was like, Bumpin', I'm gonna start the treadmill walk with him. By the time it's finished, I was already 40 minutes in on the treadmill. So, and usually I save the treadmill for last after my workouts. Kind of the, just keep the heart pumping and keep the calories burning. But today was meant to be for a conversation. I got the treadmill out, got a nice walk in, and I felt great. Once I started lifting, I didn't have any issues. I wasn't feeling exhausted mentally, like it was on. So, they say God put people in places for a reason. And even in certain situations, my situation today, I was exhausted. I'm going to get through this workout. Even though I'm here, I'm showing up. I don't think I'm going to give it my best, but I'm going to give it something. And then it turned around and I ended up going hard in the paint. So, it was much needed. Shout out to my boy, not giving any names. So if you see him, that means he's meant to be seen and he's meant to be known. So, other than that, to y'all out there, do what you gotta do to keep yourselves healthy before it's too late. I done lost family to all types of diseases. And I have family members who are suffering for current diseases. I hope for better for them, and I hope it's not too late. But for those out there who can carry on and can change their lives, get on it ASAP. Get yourself checked out thoroughly. Don't worry about these insurance companies. I know you're worried about the money, but you got some advantages for you. You're African American. The risk of cancer is greater for us. The risk of heart disease is greater for us. The risk for diabetes is greater for us. So insurance companies are going to give you a little bit of leeway. And there are some that won't. You got to fight them out. But if you put your foot down and push on and don't back down, you'll get through. Now, we hope that these insurance premiums don't go up or people start losing it, because who knows how that's going to go. That's a different topic for a different day that I care not to speak of. But again, it's about staying healthy. Do what you got to do. But that's all I had to say. Just had to come on, get that off my chest, because it was handed down to me. It was needed for the motivation and the discipline to continue my workout, but it was also for my self-knowledge, and with that knowledge to give to you all. So do what you got to do to take care of yourselves, people. That's everyone. It don't matter the color, but definitely to my black and brown people, you got to take care of yourself. All this high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, all that cancer and stuff it got to go, man. Something got to change. Peace.